esteemed Chair and the esteemed members of the Special Committee, the Special Political and Decolonization Committee of the General Assembly of the United Nations. It is indeed a difficult time to watch as we, as petitioners, who need to speak truth to power on the matters at hand, are being restricted by words. And coming from South Africa, a once colonized and highly oppressed country, it is even more saddening to know that we are now faced with the situation of needing to not face the truth and face then what are the reflections of reality. The birth of the UN 77 years ago was as a result of the precipice of World War II. 77 years later, we are at war. As we sit here, NATO is a direct colonizer. It fails to exercise its role in the terms of democratic values, consultation and cooperation with the intention of building trust and prevent conflict. And here we go, not just the stimulant of conflict, but war. The recent world crisis should have been an eye-opener for a resolution of the extended and unresolved peace in the Western Sahara and over 40 years of illegal occupation by Morocco. Morocco is a stimulant for transnational crime and oppression, which creates instability in the region and remains a gross violator of human rights.
Well, the time is just gone 12 minutes past 8, and we played out that short video clip that was Magdalene Moonsamy from Magdalene Moonsamy Attorneys and Activists, and highlighting the UN Special Committee on Political Affairs and Decolonization. The focus has been on Western Sahara. Now, we have been talking about Western Sahara for a long time, the only colonized country in Africa at this point in time. You may have heard on the video as well, looking at over 40 years of colonization by Morocco. And we are joined on the line this morning by Magdalene Moonsamy. Magdalene, good morning to you and welcome to the show. Magdalene, welcome to the show. We are having a slight problem. If you will recall, last week we spoke to the Western Sahara, the Sahrawi ambassador to South Africa, with the president of the Sahrawi Republic coming to South Africa on the invitation with by our very own President Cyril Ramaphosa. So we will try and get hold of Magdalene. There seems to be a bit of a problem, a bit of a glitch in connecting with her. We will get her as soon as possible. But looking at the United Nations and looking at their Special Committee on Political Affairs on and also decolonization, let us see what the UN actually thinks of the only colony. And let us remind ourselves that the Moroccan government has been pretty brutal in its treatment of the Sahrawi people, more into like, I would say, concentration camp-like conditions as well. And also a country and a part of Africa that is absolutely rich in a resource. And that is one of the motivating factors as to why Morocco is actually holding on to Sahrawi people and maintaining this tight grip, this brutal grip in colonizing this country. Magdalene Moonsamy is back with us, I believe. Magdalene, welcome to the show. Appreciate your time.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Niaz, for having me.
Yes.
Thank you, and thank you to the listeners.
Yes, Magdalene, we played out that video clip earlier on and looking at obviously highlighting to the UN Special Committee on Political Affairs and Decolonization. The focus has been on Western Sahara, and the point that you had made is there is this brutal colonization of Western Sahara by Morocco that is taking place for well over 50 years. Magdalene, can you hear me?
Yes, this is better, yes.
Yes. Now, I'm saying the point that you had made is the Sahrawi people have been colonized by well over 40 years brutally, and the world at this point in time still, turning somewhat of a blind eye and looking at this presentation or this representation that was made to the UN Special Committee on Political Affairs and Decolonization.
Yes, I'm speaking about what transpired in the United Nations.
Yes.
Uh, yes, so the special committee, the Special Political Committee on Decolonization, is a committee of the General Assembly. That committee sits and looks into territories that have been colonized. And you know, the Western Sahara has been falling within that space, etc. Now, the challenge that we have here is that this is a situation where Morocco is forcing itself over a territory that has that demands its independence and that has been independent uh, apart from the occupied spaces. This is over 40 years, and what we are wanting is a peaceful resolution. On the matter, we want a referendum which will then allow for the Sahrawi people to be in a position to be able to call or vote for their own self-determination and not be at the behest of Morocco. The situation is very similar to that of apartheid South Africa, in the sense that their natural resources are being looted and plundered on a daily basis. There's transnational crime. There is occupied and unoccupied territories. The people live in very difficult conditions in the occupied territories. In terms of humanitarian aid, is being limited. The issues of sanctions is what we want to be brought against Morocco, because what we find is that the political prisoners who are left without the option of a hearing. There's no legal representation allowed. The political prisoners remain languishing, or that they are just being torn apart in prison. And yet, there's no legal. There was a woman who was a petitioner at the hearing, and she said she hasn't seen her husband in 6 years, and he's been in prison for 27. So the torture, the abuse of women by the Moroccan government is abhorrent.
Yes, Magdalene. Yes, no, in fact, Magdalene, we are obviously trying to get you onto a better line. I just want to, in fact, look at it from the UN's perspective. How does the United Nations view the occupation and the colonization of Western Sahara by Morocco?
So the United Nations has resolutions. One is Resolution 1514, and that resolution is very clear in terms of paragraphs 4 and 5, where the resolution speaks about the fact of non-self-governing territories. Now, in such instances, that resolution then suggests that there must be immediate steps taken to prevent that from transpiring, and any abuse or takeover, because in principle what it is now is that there is a war in the territory of the Western Sahara, where the Western Sahara is fighting back to protect its own territory. So that's the first aspect. The second aspect is the fact that MINURSO has been involved, and there was a special envoy under Stefan de Mistura, which had to go in to try and find a peaceful resolution, which was very the Moroccan government. However, what is the anticipation of what will happen is that we'll be in a position to then the UN to then make its analysis on its own with the special envoy and MINURSO, because MINURSO and the special envoy are very critical in the entire process. And thereafter, that is done, we will then be able to see whether there is, because there are many role players. For example, Algeria at the moment has cut relations to an extent with Spain, which causes Spain to not have the resources that Algeria can afford to provide. So that's one challenge that is being faced with Algeria. And then you have the challenge of the region, because Morocco is now being a stimulant for growth atrocities in the region. For example, just I think it was it was in June or July. Morocco and Israel have a bilateral, and you know what Israel is capable of doing. So the same action that Israel puts to the Palestinian people, they have now joined forces with Morocco against the Sahrawi people. So here there is massive contestation. There's massive, reconstruction of a process, because before King Mohammed, the father agreed to a referendum before his passing. So the major issue is whether the territory would have to be won by a war, or whether it would have to be resolved through a peaceful solution.
At this point in time, it does appear, Magdalene, that a peaceful solution is not a possibility.
You are saying that it's not a possibility.
Yes, because it's been going on for a very, very long time, and to a large extent, as you said, that the world has been turning a blind eye. There have been resolutions. We know that the African Union as well, at this point in time, is not able to take any action against Morocco, except for some countries, like, for instance, South Africa. We know the Sahrawi president was invited by the president of the country, President Cyril Ramaphosa, but it does appear as if Western Sahara and the people are actually left on their own for a far too long.
Look, Nigel, I think the thing is that, one, the issue of the peaceful resolution should never be a one that the door is shut on it. Because of the nature of the Bedouin nature of the Sahrawi people in one, but also because the territory, which is extremely wealthy in natural resources. The fight for the Western Sahara by Morocco, which is aided by Spain and France, is not one that is in Israel and the US, for example. It's not an innocent fight. It's, we have had court decisions where ships of phosphate and fish, etc., were smuggled in huge cargo ships out of the Western Sahara territory. One ship actually landed in the Eastern Cape, in the port, and we had a court case, and we seized all the goods of the Sahrawi Republic. And the same thing had happened in Panama, and we seized the goods in Panama. So, yes, I do believe that a peaceful solution, if there is rationality, it's never a door that is closed. But the issue of war is one that definitely the Sahrawi people have been fighting from 2019, ever since the point of Al-Galgarat, to 2020. And in that period, where trucks would be leaving through the hole in the barrel of Al-Galgarat, trucks and trucks and trucks of natural resources of the Sahrawi people. They decided they are stopping, they are going to stand and block the trucks from passing. And that is how the war began again. The people are wanting their land, they're wanting their self-determination, they're wanting to exercise their rights as human beings. So yes, I agree with you. The possibility of a peaceful solution is the minimum, but even if it is minimum or almost zero, let us be hopeful that for the sake of the lives of many who are perishing, that we will win the war.
Well, Magdalene, yes, thank you for that and for the update. I know there's just so much more that you can actually bring to this particular discussion on the Sahrawi people, but unfortunately, time is of the essence. And we thank you. We do appreciate you taking time out, talking to us this morning here on Salam Media. We wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. There is a lecture in Sidibeng at Vaal University of Technology this evening at 4:30, if anybody wants to attend.
Well, thank you. Thank you for highlighting that as well. All the best to you, Magdalene. Please take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Magdalene Moonsamy from Magdalene Moonsamy Attorneys and Activists, highlighting the representation that was made to the UN Special Committee on Political Affairs and Decolonization on Western Sahara and the plight of the Sahrawi people. The time is just gone 8:27. We're going to go for a quick break. We come back, we'll be joined by Sumaya Hassan, Operations Manager at Care for Cancer Foundation.